Hello, I'm Timmee, an amateur portrait shooter and 2.5-year owner of the D3X, which I've previously made a video about. Here it is with its 60mm micro on. I'm here chatting today because I'm just so impressed with the original D3. Now let me just grab that. Here we go, original D3, 2007 camera, in August 2021. That is 14 years old, is it not? Aren't they awful? Oh goodness, 12 megapixels, unbelievably low resolution, no video, no flippy screen, no fancy eye focus, all that stuff, but it was absolutely loved by pros, and I can see why. Now I did have a D3S which I bought for a stupidly low price, under 500 quid with about 140,000 actuations on. And I sold it thinking, oh, I'm going to get a nice high-resolution D810. And I have the D810, it's filming me there. It's not bad, but I do not like the look of the images out of it as much as I like the stuff out of the classic D3 flagships, my D3X and the D3S. I was hunting around to replace that D3S and there were just no suitable bargains to be had, and also I couldn't find a D4 that was reasonably priced in nice condition, so I was going to give up, and then I noticed that this beautiful D3, original D3 of course, 2 years older than the D3S, slightly older sensor, but it was 350 quid with 80,000 shutter actuations and in pretty nice cosmetic condition. I just thought that was a kind of bargain that you just can't pass up. So I bought this thing and I'm really delighted with it. I don't think the look of the RAW files out of it are much inferior to the D3S RAW files. Maybe if I was shooting high ISO, I do stumble over that, don't I? If I was doing that, I think maybe the D3S would maybe give me a stop better operation, which can make all the difference. But 350 quid, 80,000 actuations, nice cosmetic condition. Everything works except the eyepiece shutter. So I suspect that MPB just didn't get around to testing that. I can overlook that at 350 quid. This is otherwise fantastic. When I discovered the eyepiece shutter was frozen open, I thought, well, I could get it fixed if I wanted to, and I may do. It's probably not worth the candle because now I know about it, I could just put something over there. It did make me check to make sure that my little sockets were working, because I thought, well, if I haven't checked that, I'll check this. So I plugged my MC30 into the socket, and all the kind of time-lapse photography stuff and release and things is all working just fine, so that's great. I don't need to talk you through the attributes of these flagships, because if you're watching this you probably know anyway. You don't need to hear all that statistical stuff, and you don't need to hear me do what they all do, which is set it at 9 frames a second, hold it up to the camera, blast away looking super smug. That kind of stuff is not really necessary here, I think you'll agree. If you like that kind of stuff and you feel that this is a terrible video because I haven't done it, then give me a down vote. tell me I'm shit, tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I've no idea how to make a YouTube video, and because I've said shit in there, it'll be demonetized. Well, I'm going to be heartbroken over that. Not. Right, other stuff to mention about this. I just have a kind of the philosophy that this stuff, this D3 series flagship stuff, including the X, which is notoriously bad at high ISO stuff and only has 4 frames a second, depending on what you're doing, that's no special disadvantage. If I was shooting fast, I'd be doing something like Daniel Norton does when he shoots Marissa. Hello Marissa, you are so gorgeous. And of course Daniel, you are gorgeous as well. Love your videos. But if Daniel Norton was shooting with his high-end fast recycling flash, he might be shooting away something like this, you know. That's probably a bit faster than 1 per second. I'm probably not going to put this in continuous mode unless I have a kind of change of heart and want to take this to the races or something, and maybe shoot a fast burst of a horse jumping a barrier or something. But that's not. I mean, I'm a portrait guy, and what I like about this is it's 12 megapixels sensor. Apparently, they're saying now that because something is lower megapixel doesn't necessarily mean it does better high ISO and things. Well, maybe not. But this certainly is better at high ISO than the D3X, and so that's sort of why at 350 quid I want one. But my philosophy is, why follow the crowd, buy the expensive, fashionable new stuff, when you can buy the absolutely gorgeous older cameras that photographers you really admired were using, and you can kind of like try to emulate them with spending 350 quid on a 12 megapixel 2014, what am I talking about, 2007 camera, 14 years old is what I meant to say. The output looks fabulous. Move your own focus points around the viewfinder. They don't extend all over the viewfinder, but for portraits, it's not a big issue. Move the focus point where you want, put it in single focus, use back button focusing, put it on the eye, and you're going to get a good picture. You're going to get as good a picture as, Tony Northrup with his Sony A1 30 frames a second things, because making photos is about making the art. It's the technical stuff is great, and maybe you get an image that you'd miss with a 14-year-old camera, but maybe you'd just be chasing your tail, spending 3.5 grand instead of 350, and maybe you've spent that money and you think that's fabulous, and maybe your images don't look as good because it's not really about that. What else to talk about? The AFD lenses, they have screw drive in, the mechanical connection driven by the motor in the camera. These old cameras have them, quite a few old cameras have them, more modern than this, the D850, all that kind of thing. These lenses will not autofocus on the adapter on the Z phone. So if you want these to autofocus, you will need a DSLR camera, although you can put these on the FTZ adapter on the new things and focus peak with them. I haven't personally done that. I've got a friend who does that on Sony, and he's produced some nice results. I might buy a Z6, which, whatever the theory says, in practice I notice are actually more plentiful and as cheap as the Z5. Now the Z5 is theoretically a cheaper consumer camera, but when it actually comes to the practice, you can't get hold of those significantly cheaper than a Z6. So my view is, well, unless you want double SD cards, why would you buy a Z5 if they can't make the thing significantly cheaper than a Z6? I got off topic there a little bit, didn't I? Sorry about that. That's enough for now, I think. Cheerio.